Government Roundtable. This is a year of anniversaries, the 200th anniversary for Greece and the 25th anniversary of this roundtable, which is a big landmark for us. And it's a particularly powerful occasion because we're meeting in person and we have a room that we are allowed to have a number of people in. We also have live streaming simultaneously, but this, for me anyway, is the first live event that I've been able to do for a very long time. So it's particularly a particular pleasure to be here and have a live event in Greece. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors who support this event. We couldn't do it without you. I'm particularly grateful to the long-term sponsors who've supported us over many years in this 25th anniversary year. Thank you very much indeed. The theme for our roundtable is from social distancing to social solidarity. And of course, we're meeting at a time when we're all trying to puzzle out what it means to, we hope, move out of a pandemic and how we organize for the world beyond a pandemic and what comes next. And we're going to be grappling with those questions over the next 2 days with a wonderful cast of very informed speakers and panelists. I would just say by way of introduction that there are also 3 vital elements that form the backdrop to our conference. First of all, of course, the economy. I think we're at a critical stage of the world economy. I've just been in the United States for a few weeks, and frankly, there's a boom going on. You feel it all around you. You can see it in the numbers. And in America, really the big question is it too hot at the moment? Are we going to suffer from inflation and various shortages of supply as a result of an overheating American economy? It's really, really palpable in America. In Europe, of course, it's much less obvious that the recovery is really taking off. It's further behind in the cycle. And emerging markets, in many cases, have vulnerabilities to what happens in America, and vulnerabilities also to the second big element in the backdrop, which is of course the pandemic itself. The pandemic is far from over, not just here. I mean, we still have to wear masks, we still have to be careful, but the picture across the world is extremely uneven in terms of infections. It's also very uneven in terms of vaccinations, and that's a critical element to how quickly we recover. Last week, or in the current edition of The Economist, we published what we called a Normalcy Index, looking at various elements of how close we were in various countries and in the world as a whole to getting back to a normal level of activity and several measures: travel, commercial activity, leisure activity. And basically what that shows, these indexes are very rough, but at the lowest point, this index, if you take pre-pandemic levels as 100, it went down as far as 35, and now it's up at 66. So we've basically recovered across the world globally about half the level of activity across these areas that we had lost due to the pandemic. But there's still a very long way to go to be back to normal, and the picture is extremely varied depending on the country. A great deal of variety, and the future path is extremely uncertain. And then the third element that I would say forms the backdrop to our discussions is geopolitics. We have extremely fraught, tense and changing geopolitics. We have, of course, a new American administration, very importantly. I'm sure we'll discuss what the Biden administration means for us in Europe. But we also have high degree of ongoing tension despite the change of administration between the United States and China, perhaps the defining relationship for the coming decades in the world. And clearly we have a very poor relationship between the West and Russia. and arguments over what comes next in that. And then here in Europe, we have critical elections coming up. Again, we'll, I'm sure, be discussing that over the next couple of days. We have French presidential elections on the horizon. We have German election happening later this year. So the main leadership in Europe will be changing. So those are three big themes, and that's without even mentioning Greece, which is, of course, at the core of what we'll be discussing as well today with many ministers and with both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition speaking to us during the course of this event.